Hi, everyone out there on Facebook. Vince Vitrano here. Today's TMJ4. We're going to try some, well, this is going to be fairly extraordinary. A couple of amazing things are occurring if we actually pull this off on our Facebook Live. First of all, we're going to talk with Lance Allan from a moving car. And also, some of us here at the station have done math, which is a very dangerous thing. But we're trying to break down the Brewers playoff scenario. And let me see, first of all, if we're checking in with Lance Allan, who's on his way to St. Louis. Lance, this looks good. I can see you. I think I can hear you. Let's do a test here. Test, 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you, Vinny. You know, we are close to the go one way Des Moines, go the other way Chicago. We're in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. How about that?
That is a tough drive. About 6 hours, would you say, here from Milwaukee to St. Louis?
Absolutely, give or take. I'm almost afraid to move our camera in the fixed location that it's in, Vinny. If you can see out the window here, we do have plenty of cornfields. My main man, photojournalist Justin Tiedemann, he's driving very safely. We're going to pass a semi here. You're going to see that in a second. So right now we are truly in the middle of the Midwest, Nowheresville.
All right, well, travel log is not why we asked folks to join us here on Facebook. Let's break down the scenarios for your Milwaukee Brewers. Let's start with this, Lance. Nothing can happen definitively for the Brewers playoff picture tonight unless we win. The math just doesn't work. So let's assume that the Brewers win tonight. They beat the Cardinals. From your estimation, what happens then? What is guaranteed?
Well, if they beat the Cardinals, then they are in the playoffs. So that, you know, that part of it, I always like to take it, Vinny, step by step. And the thing is, if you win, you take care of your business and you don't have to worry about all the other scenarios of what other people obviously do or help or whatever. So basically, the magic number to just get into the playoffs is 1, and that's the first step, is just take care of business against the Cardinals tonight, and you're in, and you don't have to worry about certain other things. Now, beyond that, we can get into and we've got nothing but time, Vinny, so we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But, you know, obviously a Brewers win and an LA loss would definitely help scenarios. You don't want to get into a 4-way tie. There's so many convoluted scenarios right now that it's crazy. But the other important thing is the Brewers are now just a half game behind the Cubs for the division title as well. And who would have thought that was possible a week or 2 weeks ago? So a lot of things in play.
Well, let's do that first. Let's talk about the division, Lance, and then we'll get into the various wild card scenarios and how that math works out with the Rockies and the Dodgers and the Cardinals really still in play for that. But let's do division first. I have the Brewers' magic number now for winning the division at 6, which means Brewers wins combined with Cubs losses or any combination thereof at 6. The Cubs' magic number being 5. Does that work out for your math?
That seems to be the scenario, Vinny, because obviously the Cubs still have that half-game advantage, and that this time of the year is very crucial. So that's what gives them just that little bit of a leg up right now. But, man, the Pirates have done Brewers fans and the Brewers a ton of favors by winning these last 2 games. The Brewers keep kind of just taking care of their business, and I like what Craig Counsell says. You know, obviously they want to win tonight and just get into the playoffs. But Craig Counsell is thinking, we've got a shot at this division title, and he's not just happy getting into the playoffs. They want even more than that.
Well, what's really important, Lance, and why I love, as you said, taking care of our business tonight, you get things taken care of with the Cardinals and essentially put them in a spot where they can't catch the Brewers. Then you can go ahead and root for the Cardinals when they play 3 in Chicago over the weekend and hope that they get things taken care of against the Cubs. Oh, no way. All right, Facebook, they are telling me that we just lost the feed with Lance. It was all going so well. Lance live in a moving car on his way to St. Louis. Some of us doing math. Things have checked out. Well, let's see if we can break that down a little bit further for you as long as we got you as we try to get Lance back. What we're talking about here in terms of the division is the Cubs, yes, they have one more game to play than the Brewers. Brewers with 4 games left, including tonight, but the Cubs have that extra game, which is why you still have those half games and all that scenario. If the Brewers take care of business tonight against the Cardinals, that means it's impossible for the Cards to catch us. The best the Cardinals could do then would be finish the season at 90 wins. The Brewers would already be at 92 wins, so they can't catch us. Then you can go ahead and root for the Cardinals as they play 3 games in Chicago to finish the regular season. Again, the Brewers' magic number to win the division, which would be Brewers wins combined with Cubs losses, any combination thereof, would be 6. Brewers win tonight, that takes it down to 5. Say the Cubs lose tonight, that takes it down to 4. And then we still need a little bit of help from the Cubs, but that's how things shape up for the division. The Brewers could take command of that race tonight with a win mixed with a Cubs loss. So if the Brewers win tonight, that still leaves a number of scenarios out there that are possible, which is, again, why we can't clinch anything tonight if we lose, because Los Angeles and the Rockies are still out there, as would be the Cardinals. They would still be alive in that race. Figuring things out, the best the Rockies can do is finish the season with 92 wins as things stand right now. The best the Dodgers can do is finish the season with 92 wins as things stand right now. Best the Brewers can do is finish with 95 wins, so which is why if we take care of our own business, we're definitely in the playoffs. One more win tonight. If the Brewers win tonight and the Rockies lose and the Dodgers lose, so the the worst thing that can happen for the Brewers in that scenario is that we would host that one-game wild card playoff game. So we win tonight, we're in the playoffs. We win tonight and LA loses and Rockies lose, we are in the playoffs and we are hosting that one-game playoff with either the Rockies or the Dodgers. Oh, they're telling me we might have Lance. I see Lance over here in this monitor. Lance? Lance, are you back?
Yes.
Dude, I was doing
We're
a really
back.
good I was doing a really good job anyway, but let's finish our conversation about the division. Again, if the Brewers take care of what they need to take care of tonight, and that's beat the Cardinals, that basically means the Cardinals can't catch the Brewers, and then fans can go ahead and root for St. Louis to beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field when they play 3 games there this weekend.
Yeah, that's pretty much the scenario that I'm of the understanding as well. Is it's kind of a weird case study, Vinny, kind of like what you said, where tonight you just want them to win, and then all of a sudden you're kind of cheering for the team that you want to beat tonight, and that kind of just plays out the way that the scenarios you want to play out. We were going through some scenarios earlier today where it was kind of crazy, where you don't want to get into this stuff where it's a 4, and it is slightly mathematically possible, so we can talk about the possibilities here. For a 4-way tie would be absolutely insane, where if you had the Dodgers and the Rockies playing for a division title, and if you had the Brewers and the Cubs tied at the end of the year and playing for a division title, and if the Rockies win, the Brewers would have to go out to LA and then they'd come back and this and that. I mean, you don't even want to get into all those scenarios and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that I think kind of what you stepped through, all the viewers through is correct. Is you want to beat the St. Louis Cardinals tonight, and then hope that you get a little help from them, on the backside, and then the Brewers playing the Tigers might be a little bit to their advantage, that you're at home and you're playing a team that really doesn't have a lot to play for.
Let's end on this, Lance. Again, assuming the Brewers win tonight. If the Brewers win tonight and the Rockies lose and the Dodgers lose, then not only are the Brewers in for sure, but the worst that the Brewers can do is finish with 92 wins. That would settle things in terms of who gets to host that one-game wild card playoff, and that would be the Brewers. That's a lot of ands, but essentially that's what would need to happen tonight. In addition to a Brewers win, you need the Dodgers to lose and the Rockies to lose tonight in order to clinch that home playoff game.
Yeah, still a lot of help that's needed, Vinny, and that's why it's interesting to talk about the scenarios, but it's usually better to take care of your business. But you're right, they need a lot of what ifs at this point, a lot of different scenarios, and a lot of times when you have that many factors involved, it doesn't all come together. But the way the Brewers are playing right now, if they just keep winning, a lot of this will sort itself out, and they will get that home wild card game for sure, and then just play the what if game. And how crazy of a scenario is that? Like you mentioned, rooting for the Cardinals to beat the Cubs at the end of the year.
Let's end on this, Lance. It would be only the 5th time in Milwaukee Brewers history that we make the postseason. First time since 2011. And then, of course, there was our stint. Was it 08 or 07? I can't remember. I think it was 08 was the first time after the 82 series.
Correct.
But
08, yep.
You've been around all of these teams, Lance. What is your general feeling about this team? What's different about this Brewers team? What gives them confidence? Boy, it certainly feels like we're finishing differently than we did even in those other years.
Yeah, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but I tell you what, Vinny, there is a feeling that there is a special it about this team. I mean, the way Christian Yelich is playing, just doing everything right. I mean, having big hits and coming up huge in the clutch and literally carrying this team. But he's not the only one. They're getting contributions from all over the place. Like last night, sometimes you got a guy like Corey Knebel comes back from the minor leagues. He's found his curveball again. He's pitching very, very well. Goes out there for the 4th time in 5 days, and he's got to grit it out, and he does it. And their relief pitching for the most part this year has been lights out and really good. They're getting good starting pitching. Gio Gonzalez has been a perfect elixir, and maybe that lightning in a bottle guy that they get for the final couple months of the season. Been there, done that, pitching very well. They're getting contributions from all over the board. So you just kind of feel like, you know what, they can match up with pretty much just about anybody. You want an easier playoff road. You want to have some home games. You want to have the chance of winning the division, because the wild card scenario is just so, one game, you can have one bad day. It is a little bit tricky in that sense. But right now, you got to feel very confident if you're the Milwaukee Brewers. They don't have to back down from anybody at this point. And it kind of feels, if you want to compare it to something, 81 they made it. 80, strike shortened year. 82 was their year, and they just came one game short in the World Series against the Cardinals. 08, it just kind of seemed like they were happy to be there. CC kind of ran out of gas. And then 2011, they had a good team, but once again, the pitching staff just kind of ran out of gas against the Cardinals in the NLCS. This year, barring injury, they've got a lot of things that you like.
Folks just joining us here on Facebook, Vince Vitrano here at today's TMJ4 talking with Lance Allan, who's on his way to St. Louis for tonight's Brewers game. Possibility that the Brewers could clinch a spot in the postseason for just the 5th time in the team's history. We will take your questions here. We've got a couple more minutes, so if you have a question, leave it in the comments section. Here's an important question I suppose we should address. You did talk about it at the top here, but Lance, this is from Jake. He wants to know if you're driving while video chatting. The answer is no. You got Justin over there driving the car, so you can concentrate on this important conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, Justin doesn't like being on camera, but there's your video proof right there that Justin is driving. There are cornfields right there. I am safely buckled in, and yes, in my seat. And there's a guy ahead of us. I don't know the video. I'm going to do the always dangerous flip it on over here scenario. But yeah, we have a guy with a plate that says MLB STL right in front of us. Yeah.
Well, anybody who spent time in St. Louis, either during the baseball season or not, that is a baseball crazy town. Great town of fans for their Cardinals, no doubt. Let me ask you then, Lance, what do you expect from the Cardinals tonight? I was shocked at the manner in which they sort of laid down last night. I mean, the Brewers really put it on them. And when you got Gio Gonzalez knocking in RBIs, that's probably going to take the wind out of your sails a little bit. But what do you expect from the Cardinals tonight as they are fighting for their playoff lives?
Yeah, and that's the dangerous scenario tonight. Is Chacin has pitched very, very well, Brewers starter, but you kind of hit on it. If the Cardinals have any fight left in them whatsoever, and so far the Brewers have come into their house and quite frankly punked them out twice. If they have any fight left, tonight's going to be the night where they know what's on the line, and they don't want the Brewers, one of their division mates, one of their, whatever you want to call them, but one of their rivals in the division, celebrating in the visiting clubhouse in their own stadium. So if the Cardinals want to go where they want to go, tonight's their night to make a stand and try to maybe gain some momentum in playing the Cubs to end the season. So you're right. I mean, tonight is going to be one of those playoff atmosphere type scenarios and playoff atmosphere type games. And so far the Brewers, for being a young team, have come through it very, very well.
Lance, we are starting to get some questions here. I'll pass them along, and some of this is stuff that we sort of went over earlier, but Anthony wants to know what the tiebreak scenario is if we tie with the Cubs for the division, and I'll piggyback on that. Then TJ says if we tie the Cubs for the division, who gets that playoff? So if we're tied at the end of the season with the Chicago Cubs, and we don't know who the division champion is at that, it's a one-game playoff scenario, correct? And then who gets the home game?
You are correct on that, and you look through all the scenarios and things like that, and I'm trying to remember back to I'm thinking the Cubs would get that home scenario, but I mean, there's so many scenarios in play right now, Vinny, that you got to double check on everything. But yeah, it could come down to that as well.
All right, Lance, appreciate your time. I know you got a longer drive ahead of you, but we're not going to push our luck with the technology here. It's been fairly cooperative, so we'll take what we got and love it. Appreciate it very much. Look forward to your reports this afternoon.
No problem. Anytime, Vinny.
All right, that's Lance Allan on the road to St. Louis as your Milwaukee Brewers look to clinch a playoff berth. They can do that tonight with a win and all the other scenarios. I hope we cleared that up for you instead of made it more confusing. But regardless, if Brewers take care of business tonight, we are in the playoffs. Thanks for being with us here on Facebook Live. We'll see you again.